wife. He has taken her as a bride. He has chosen to marry her. Then he says, you know what, I actually don't like her. I don't want to be married anymore. And then he goes to the city elders and he says, she wasn't a virgin. Then the city elders say, look, that's not correct. We're going to stone you now because you're just trying to get out of a marriage. This is a deterrent against divorce for no reason. This is a protection of women. Next question.
And Caleb left. I wanted to show off my sick knowledge of the Talmud. Basically, you have to apply this to the Talmud. Go to the people's law, who this actually is. And the Talmud sets up so many safeguards that it's extremely difficult for anyone to carry out any sort of execution or anything like that. So that's the answer. Consult your local Orthodox rabbi for how they actually apply these laws, which are their laws.
I want to address the chat really quick.
Can we elaborate on Deuteronomy a little further?
Hold on. Yes, we're about to. Hold on, James. Hold on. Just hold the thought. I'm going to address the chat because they got there first. This is a hypothetical the scripture has set up. Let's look at 13 again. If a man takes a wife and goes into her and then hates her and then accuses her of misconduct, in this hypothetical, the husband has decided he doesn't want to be married anymore. The subject of this situation is not whether or not she's a virgin. The subject is that the man has decided, he has married a woman, he has taken her virginity, he has consummated the marriage, and now he is willing to leave her for financial and social debt because he doesn't want to be married to her anymore. That's the hypothetical. Are we all clear on that?
Yeah, but you read further, because 20, if the thing is true, the evidence of the virginity was not found in the young woman, then they shall bring the young woman to the door of her father's house. And the men of her city shall stone her to death with stones, because she has done an outrageous thing in Israel by whoring in her father's house.
So that's the caveat to the hypothetical. The caveat to the hypothetical is that she was a whore.
Hang on. No, I'm just reading the verse.
Yes, that's what you just read.
Caveat. No, it goes on to the point of the man thinking he's marrying a virgin. Right? And this goes even further on the validity of the knowledge of said God, right? So,
for heaven's sake.
Oh, for heaven's sake. Oh, the heavens to Betsy. How dare you challenge God's
Look at that, undermining women.
Oh, my
again.
goodness. Oh, yeah.
James is one of the biggest misogynists I've ever met, but go on, James.
By all means, I am not a misogynist.
Oh, you're acting like one today.
I'm mocking God, for Pete's sake.
Using a ditzy woman's voice. Okay, go ahead, James. Please proceed. Yes, go ahead.
God that is claimed to have all knowledge, because there are women that don't believe the first time they have sex. So this is a silly law to follow.
Look at him educating me about women again. Okay, look.
I'm not educating you. Wow, it's all about you, Steph, isn't it?
Did I just go back to where we were educating everyone?
Yes.
James, did anyone not hear or just not care? Like, you cannot interpret the Bible for the Jewish law specifically by reading the Jewish law in the Bible, because we know from oral tradition, again, I think they're wrong about a lot of stuff. Jesus being the Messiah, I think they're wrong about that. It doesn't matter the way they carry out their law. If you want to know, right, if you want to know what a Christian believes, ask them. If you want to know what a Muslim believes, ask them. If you want to know about Jewish law, please ask the Jews who have the law. So you cannot just read the Bible in accordance to the law of Moses and think you have a grasp on it. So, for example, you must read the Talmud. The Cliff Notes, if you want to look this up, it's like Talmud.org or Shabbat.org or something. Google the Talmud. It's free. You can read it. You can translate it to English. But this is Hitchabot 46A through B. This is disgusting. So the little clip of verses we're reading, you've got chapters worth of explanations. And then you can't say anything. You're like, oh, they're explaining it away. It's their law. They can explain it however they want. So, for example, you have to have 2 valid eyewitnesses. That means to back up this guy's claim, you have to have at least 2 people right there watching this happen. Then you have to have a clear warning given to the offender before the act, so she has to persist in her knowledge of evil she's doing or the lying. Then you have to have the act intentionally committed after the warning. So eyewitnesses warned before, and then follow-up act after the eyewitnesses are present during the warning. This is incredibly difficult to be carried out. And then we have an example, this is the Sanhedrin, calling it in a bloody court and this is when one person was executed in 70 years. You know,
My bad, I'm sending an email out, but I'm listening.
Alright, cool.
I gotta answer some of this email.
Okay, free yourself from Clubhouse spam. Oh, my friend is here. This is a spam-free room. Oh, you've updated.
Free Palestine, Black Lives Matter, Am Yisrael Chai, LGBTQ, Pride, you're a white supremacist, pay now, call now to solve your problems. Call now, 555-5555. Stop thinking and end your problems. 6 inches, 6 to 8 inches, 8 inches, 8 inches, double D's, double D's. How was that?
That's pretty accurate. I forgot about some of the stuff. You brought it back, and I was like, oh, that's right. I was like, we couldn't, like, I didn't think about that, but I know that that would come up eventually. And this is kind of originally what I was trying to analyze in Clownhouse is what are the recurring topics of spam? Abortion is one of them. Structural white racism.
There's one that comes up all the time. Tell me you've seen this, where it's like, how much money would it take for you to suck a dick? This is like, comes up in every room.
I haven't heard that one in a while.
It's like, it's not as popular as saying at the end of the day, but it's in the category of recurring topics is how much money would it take for you to suck a dick? And does sucking a dick make you gay? That's another topic that comes up a lot.
Elias Rodriguez.
I know. I mean, my nigga. Like, what's up with that?
He didn't have the tone down when he was singing it correctly. It's more like free Palestine. He didn't have the dip in the second riff there, but
That's true. You're right. There is a little musicality to it. Hey, what about this though? He was from that nigga from Chicago.
listen,
You're gonna have to
Chicago.
answer for this man.
Chicago is ground zero for liberal woke, depressed, angry losers. That's just
Do you
life.
think that did he drive from Chicago to DC? You know, I'm from DC. This is my hometown, DC.
Oh, really?
That's where I'm from. That's where I'm from. Born and raised. I grew up in DC. I'm born in DC. I lived in DC. I left to go to college. I lived there in my 20s for a little bit. But, yeah, that's my hometown, DC, Washington, DC.
Damn. Did you ever go to the Rose Room?
What is, I don't think so. What is that? I didn't, because I grew up there,
It's
did, what is it? The road, at the White House?
No, it's it's in this like little strip. It's next to a dispensary. It's like a bar.
A bar. Oh, you know what? I only lived there as an adult for like about 6 months. But I grew up there as a kid. That's where I went to high school. But
Wow.
I lived in Adams Morgan for about 6 months as an adult. But I never really left Adams Morgan.
My close Jewish friend growing up, he went to, what is it, Georgetown or whatever?
Georgetown University is a university there.
Yeah, I saw the graduation parade outside of Washington Memorial, and it was all just a bunch of like Free Palestine Muslims, and I'm like, holy shit.
Recently? It must have been recent.
Yeah.
When was this?
A couple days ago.
Right. Oh, wow. Your friend just graduated from Georgetown?
No. He graduated. He's my age. He graduated a long time ago, but.
But you saw the graduation at Georgetown University?
Yeah, it was a beautiful graduation because they do it right there in the Capitol. But, anyways, this is a no spam room, meaning that all communication is spam, but what we want to do is get to the 1% of spam, which is less spam, 99% less spam than all the other spam, which is a compression of high value information as usual. So I have to go down to my coach house. I bought like $150 worth of materials yesterday, and I have to start taping. And I really hate painting. So it's like to get the willpower to go downstairs and do all this. I'm going to do it because I have to do it. Otherwise.
Let me ask you this. Do you want to paint your coach house, or do you want to get shot in the face by a Free Palestine terrorist?
Thank you for that push. You know?
Which do you want to do with your day?
It's like, oh, woe is me. Oh, I gotta go paint. Oh. I could be leaving a museum and some scumbag from Chicago starts chanting some TikTok video and shoots me in the face.
I mean, you could be outside of your coach house getting robbed by a crackhead, but instead you're inside of the coach house painting.
What up, Midas?
Do you live in like a crackhead area? You got like crackheads on the street?
No, it's not like
Okay.
that. I don't live in a bad part
You
of Chicago.
posted a picture when you were having coffee overlooking a garden. Were you sent me that picture?
Yeah.
I think you texted it to me.
Yeah, that's my
Was
house.
that where you live?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice view.
Yeah, it's nice.
So you don't live like right downtown with the high rises. You live in like a more neighborhoody part.
No, I live on the northwest side, which was close to O'Hare.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meaning a little quieter.
Yeah. I live on
It's
a major street though, so I get a lot of cars coming by. I'm thinking about putting up signs saying, yard sale, and then just buying a bunch of cheap Chinese shit and putting it out across a bunch of tables on my backyard and like starting an illegal backyard garage sale every day so I can pay the fucking electric bills.
Chinese spy! You're a Chi-Com dog! Fanny! What was it? Fang? Wasn't Fang your girlfriend?
Fang. Yeah, that guy Eric Swalwell, he's a fucking little bitch.
What's happening with you, weirdo? How's it going? Good?
Oh man, I thought you were white. That was an incredible white. I guess that sounded like a white man doing a Chinese man.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was trying to be a Chinese. I was trying to be him. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Wait, 2 Jews were murdered? I thought it was the guy and the girl.
What'd you say?
Oh, never mind. I'm looking at Rabbi.
2 Jews were murdered.
I thought you were pro-trans, comedian. What's up with the picture?
I don't know. I saw it on, I think, New York Post or something because this trans put up a trans flag at like Mount Rushmore or something. And I was so revolted by just how hideous this person was that I had to take the screenshot because whenever you see a grown man that has a beard and they dress up as a woman, I mean, it's really the wig that, the wig and the makeup is technically, you have to have it. Otherwise, you're not the most disgusting, revolting trans that you can be. So I actually thought that this guy might have been like an employee of the U.S. Parks Agency or whatever it is. So I took a screenshot thinking I can't believe it, but I'm pretty sure the guy is just, an activist trans, not actively employed by the, whatever the fuck that agency is, the Department of Interior, I think.
So if he had no beard, would it be okay?
No. But I will say that when you were a bearded trans, trans, I don't even like using the word trans because it's just, it is, it's like another word like
Why don't
gay.
you just use the word freak? We already had a good word for these people. It's called a freak.
You can't say that. It goes against the Judaism.
No, I could say
Gender
freak.
to the Talmud, it will condemn him. You can't say that.
Ugh, you know, I was recording Brother. Do you know Brother Nathaniel Midas?
IUIC.
IUIC,
Yeah, which brother Nathaniel?
the Jew-hating derangement syndrome Russian Orthodox Jew from Brooklyn or wherever the fuck he's from. Anyways, I was recording him last night.
The Jews made tunnels under the schools so they can put baby chairs and baby beds, and he has a problem with Jews. I'm not sure.
No, that's not what it is. But anyways, I was recording him on an X last night, and I don't know. It's just crazy how you can hear these Jewish derangement syndrome people mention every conspiracy under the sun about Jews, and then two innocent people get murdered by some fucking Mexican from Chicago. Just leaving an event. They're about to get engaged. They're a beautiful couple, and then your life is just ruthlessly taken from you. And this guy, like all these murderers, they just get life sentences, but they don't get their heads blown off. And I just feel like, the government has to have an execution agency. And I don't want to kill people, but like if they wanted to pay me a nice federal salary and a pension so I could like push a button, I could do that. Would you do that, Midas?
What about being part of a firing squad? I think that could be a chill job.
Pretty crazy though. It's so professional though. You can't smoke weed, you can't drink alcohol. You got to show up in your best uniform every time. It's a lot of work to execute people.
So hold on, comedian. He has the chutzpah to support the Jews in their immigration argument, but he doesn't have the chutzpah to support the Jews as far as taking advantage of the goy and like having sex with the babies and 3-year-olds. He doesn't like that. What's happening there?
You know what?
Wait a minute? Can you try to restate that? Because that didn't really make sense to me, but I do want to hear what you're trying to say.
Really?
There's 1,500 rabbis who said they wanted the immigrants to come in the first place. So the guy wants to support the immigrants, but he doesn't want to support the people who...
Which guy? What do you mean by the guy?
Nathaniel.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of weird. It's like he's working for the Jew. At the same time, he hates the Jews. It's kind of bad.
So the thing that I really hate about people who like bring up all these things about how Jews are engineering and doing all these, I guess, anti-American, anti-world type activities are really what... So the point is, all of Washington, D.C. gets lobbied by every fucking country on the planet. And billions upon billions are spent lobbying to try to get American taxpayer dollars to, support these causes or regions or whatever it is. So it's just like, you can criticize Israel all you want, but if all you do is criticize Israel and you don't actually criticize the other lobbying countries and criticize all the money that they spend and all the money we spend on the lobbying, it's like, dude, you have to fucking say the whole system sucks. You can't just say one group of people are the group of people.
Tikkun Olam. You see, George Soros, he funded the BLM, and he started taking over the media and stuff like that. And then also Hollywood, you control Hollywood. And then the rabbis who hump walls, they say they want to kill
How
all
is it
the-
like, how are you connecting that? What is your understanding of Tikkun Olam?
Tikkun Olam is to help the Jews become the top tier of the society, according to Tikkun.com. And if anybody wants to have Tikkun, want to make them the master while they become the slave.
You just made me think of something though. What about, what about D.A. Tikkun Olam, basically? Tikkun Olam. Like the Coon Life, wouldn't that be? Or the Coon World. TikkunOlam.com.
You went there already? You saw the website?
No, I'm saying COON, like if it was Tikkun, get it?
Well, that's not a good site. Well, but that's not a good site stuff. But if you go to Tikkun.com, you're going to see that they don't want you to talk about the pogroms and the killing of Russians and stuff like that. They don't want you to talk about that. They don't want you to talk about all the killings that happened during the 1980s. It's all on Tikkun.com. And
Midas, can I ask you a question? Midas, your views about the Jewish people notwithstanding, will you condemn on this stage with your friend, the nature hero and the comedian of Clown House, will you immediately condemn the senseless, irrational killing of 2 Jewish Americans last night on the streets of Washington, D.C.? And will you agree that the killing of these 2 American citizens will do nothing to end the conflict in Israel and Palestine or free any members of the global South or North from any sort of colonial oppression? Will you condemn the murder of these 2 American citizens right now?
Sure, I condemn it, but if I also condemn it to the 1,500 rabbis who said the immigrants who killed them, those 2 people last night, are they going to say that the immigrants need to go back to third world countries that they came from and to get out of the black societies because they're taking it over and killing
Possibly.
That'd be great. I want to see 1,500 rabbis say send back those Hispanics. I want to see it happen today, bro.
So you're saying the Jews are responsible for the global immigration because the Jews are trying to destabilize the society, so they bring in all the immigrants?
Maybe 1,500 rabbis said it. They said it's very hard to get 1,500 rabbis to agree. Very crazy.
Okay, so we're going to go into the next phase of this morning communication, which is Clubhouse spam, you clown, meditation tree. So we're going to ditch the topics. If anybody brings up the J word, you immediately get kicked into a communistic goose state.
What about kite or little hats? Can we say that?
Okay, that's the first and only warning. And so you can easily, go to the goo if you want.
What about money gripper and gold holder or stingy person who holds shit?
Okay, so this is the point, Midas, is that I'm trying to eliminate spam from my communication, which is what I'm listening to and what I'm saying, the topic, essentially, because time is limited and I don't have time to just be a child. I know you don't either. I know you're being funny, and I think it's funny, actually, but...
Well, it's actually very real what I'm saying. It may be funny, but it is truth built into it.
Okay, hold on. That's just your opinion. That's just your opinion, but the point is do you have control? Do you have enough personal control not to spam us anymore?
When did I spam you? What did I say that was spam?
Well, we're both Jews here. So you're a black man talking to 2 Jews, and we're entertaining the anti-Semitic stuff, the K word and the little hats and all that, because it's funny to a point, and we both have thick skin, and we're both secure in ourselves enough to handle a little bit of the Jewish derangement syndrome. But at some point, it becomes enough already. And if I were just flying off the handle saying N-word, slave, Jamaica, whatever, that wouldn't be helpful either. And so that's my understanding anyway.
Well, this is the thing. You're getting mad at my speech, but the actions on the part of, I guess, your people are...
I'm not mad. Do I sound mad? I'm not mad at all. I don't feel mad right now.
They kick you off the stage. I'm being called, I guess, I'm saying bad things. But aren't y'all doing bad things? Isn't the Jewish population actually doing bad things?
I don't think that I'm doing bad things currently.
Okay.
What bad thing am I doing?
Okay, Midas.
Yes, okay.
Midas,
it's a distraction. It's a distraction. All communication is hypnosis.
And spam and projection. And projection. So, Midas, the thing is, I'm just not going to entertain you because I control my ears. I am in control of, this space here. So I'm not going to speak with you anymore. Maybe sometime in the future, but I barely believe in tomorrow. No, I'm not ready because of a low GQ. he's pretty good. I gotta give it to him. But anyways, the point is, control the spam. It's just like controlling flow, and that's what it is. Control the spigot. Spigot is an interesting word because it sounds controversial.
Who are you calling a spigot?
So, anyways, this is the meditation part. Just take the deepest breath of the day and center your chi, center your yin and yang, and be one with your breath. Have you ever done a Bonic meditation?
Ebonic meditation?
Ebonic meditation. You focus on your breathing. Say it with me, breathing. Not bereaving, bereaving.
You're breathing?
And that's the truth of the earth. That you don't need to go into a confessional booth to talk to a pope. You can just focus your breath, go within, go within, go within. You know, the funniest thing is if I do those jokes, people don't even know it because they just accept my bad pronunciation as they think it's like, they can't tell. They don't even think that I'm making a joke. They just accept the words as being the words. It's pretty funny.
Have you seen, I mean, there's some videos about the, you know about the smoke alarm?
Yeah.
And then they say it's a house sound. They think it's a house sound. They're like, oh, the hallway be creaking like that. Like, this should be beeping sometime. Should just be beeping sometime. And that's really
I think it gives them a great, like, they have echo resonance, you know, so, like, it gives them a better understanding of their,
location.
it gives them a fuller 3D, richer picture of their environment.
Right. They get a sense of where the furniture is, because every 15 seconds is like,
yeah, it's like shit, what the fuck did I do with my keys? Hold on a second, beep, there's the fucking keys. Beep. There's my fucking phone. Where's the fucking remote? Hold on. Beep. There's the fucking remote. I told you that's why we keep the beeping in the house, baby.
Okay.
Replace the fucking battery, Tyrone.
I don't know if that's been done before. I'm telling you, if you ever do stand-up, you gotta do, I think that's probably the evolution for you. Like, that's your only career. That's the only potential future for you. And me possibly as well. But that's your bit. I mean, we kind of came up with it together, but you really
No, let's be co-writers. Let's be co-writers.
Yeah. If you write that down, like, that is a thing in somebody's stand-up special where they're like, what's up with the black people and the beeping? Maybe they're like bats, and they use it like echolocation. And then you do that whole performance with the, there's my wallet, there's my phone. Like, you know, if you were a comedian, you would be writing that down and just think like, all right, that's one of 50. And then when I have 50 of those, then I'm going to make a set that's like 5 minutes. And then I'm going to go to open mic night and I'm going to do this bit about the black people being bats with echolocation. And that's a very funny, because to make a really good joke, you need to do it like that thing that we kind of just collectively came up with. I'm giving you credit for that one, but because you did the funny performance. But you need to have like a funny premise. Wouldn't it be funny if? Then you need to flip it and say, that would be just like this. It's so crazy that. And then you need to do like a little sketch acting out of what it would look like. And you do the funny black voice. And anyway, congratulations. I was laughing. I thought that was funny. That's the thing about comedy. I forget who I heard say that. It was some comedian. But it was on a podcast, and he was saying, like, literally everybody is funny. Like, anybody can be funny. You're sitting around with your friends. Nobody there is a stand-up comedian, but you're all making each other laugh. But the thing about being a stand-up comedian is you have to write down every time that you make other people laugh, you write that down. And you're like, okay, I said this, other people laughed. I'm going to write it down, and then I build a set off of that. So, now do 10 more.
Well, see, the thing about doing stand-up is it's like, yeah, okay, I could try to find a location and then film myself. You know, I'm going to try to do that this summer, but honestly, the political stuff is the same thing in a way. It's like every day that...
Oh, running for something?
Congress, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
It's the same thing. I mean, I'm in the Tim Dillon school, but I've got a lot of work to do today, and I really want to try to narrow my communication. Now, part of Zen is taking away. Less is more. Like a very simplistic life, which is based on people and action, not objects and useless stuff. My house is full of useless stuff called books. Have you read anything recently, my friend?
A little bit. I mean, I do a lot of audiobooks. But you know what I read recently that you might like? I wonder if you've ever read this. It is called The Book of Five Rings.
Mm-mm.
Have you ever heard of it?
No.
So, yeah, I heard, Josh Waitzkin, the Searching for Bobby Fischer, the chess kid? Did you ever see that movie, Searching for Bobby Fischer?
I think so.
Well, it doesn't really matter. But I heard this chess guy, they made a movie about him when he was a kid. And I heard him on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about chess, and he was talking about learning and mastery and study. And he recommended this book called The Book of Five Rings. And I listened to it on audiobook. I think you would really like it. It's right up your alley. And what I got from this book is basically like, if you do it right, to know one thing is to know all things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you learn how to play golf and you think about like putting the ball in the hole or whatever, or you learn basketball, that was too close of a comparison. But if you learn, jiu-jitsu is about takedowns and arm bars, then you'll only be good at jiu-jitsu. But if you learn that jiu-jitsu is about like filling space or taking opportunity or being creative, then in learning jiu-jitsu, you can also learn chess. You can apply your jiu-jitsu skills to a tennis match, or to your filling of the concrete in your sidewalk, or painting your fucking coach house. To paint your coach house is the same as to engage in a sword fighting match to the death. So the Book of Five Rings, he's talking all about sword fighting, but it's very much about the principles of mastery and learning. And so if you're excited about learning and mastery, you can listen to this guy talk about sword fighting, and you can think, this applies to my sword fighting match with this bastard at the place I used to work who is a fat fucking bureaucratic piece of garbage, whatever, and then I'm having a sword fighting match with Bussy on Clown House or some Jazzy or something. So that's
what do you what
I have a phone call, but I'll be back. All right, you know who was on the phone?
Who?
Actually, if you think hard, if you think about communication and who might have been calling me and what they wanted to do for me or to me, you could probably come up with what it was.
I don't really know.
It was spam.
Damn, because I was just about to ask you about spam. And essentially, you've been here for many years. You've talked to all types of people. I know you say you like to come in and just listen in because it's, like background noise while you do things. Driving a car, cooking your breakfast, whatever. But how would you gauge and score the spam that you've been engaged in? Because I have found that, like, the fact that I've recorded it gives me like a pass, because I'm like actively filming spam, and like that's what the Jerry Springer show is. So but as a participant of spam and not even getting paid for the spam or having any hope of monetizing the spam that you've collected, like, do you have any regret, guilt, shame, or is it all just in the now and you're course correcting by being in the Free Yourself from Clubhouse spam room?
I think that for me, I look at it as like a sociological, it's like an ethnography. it's a study of humanity. And so I find it to be very interesting and educational. And I think that it is largely a waste of time, but I don't, sometimes you see people in the room and then you come back hours later and they're still there and they're still having the same conversation. And then you try to chime in, you're in the room for 10 minutes, you try to chime in and they're like, well, we don't want to hear from you because we've invested hours into this conversation and you're just popping in to comment on whatever you hear at the moment. So it's not really even appropriate for you to chime in because they're sitting there spending their day that way. And I don't think that I do that. But I do feel like I have learned, I don't know, I've talked with you about this before, but I think being on Clown House and listening to morons, I have learned a lot about humanity and what's out there. And it also has made me a more patient communicator because I'm able to listen. My tolerance for bullshit has increased.
Well, what do you think about people who will die on a hill for their position on this app, and then people who will literally repeat their position in one room for 10 times, but then when you look at the course of all the time they spend here, it's actually probably like they've repeated their position 1,000 times.
I think that's really sad. I think there are a lot of people who, that kind of also makes me think about our place in the timeline of history, and I think we're at a very interesting time period in human development to be alive. We have this, a new form of technology that these few generations who are alive right now, we're experimenting with this new technology, so it's kind of exciting. And I think a lot of people have a need. I believe that people have a deep biological need to sit around a campfire, and it's not being fed. And I think people have a biological need to walk 10 miles a day at least, because that's what we used to do to get our food for millions of years. And we evolved that way, and we're not doing that. And I think while we were walking the 10 miles, or while we were mashing beans or gathering seeds or whatever, we were talking and singing and making fun of each other. And one of the most popular Clubhouse topics, of course, probably the most popular Clubhouse topic, which I think is a very boring topic, is the Clubhouse drama, which is he said this about her, or she said this, or bullshit. But you know what? As boring as that is, on Clown House, it is a very human thing to do, because when all we had was our 50 or 100 person band and we were living in the jungle, then social status mattered a lot. That was kind of one of the only things to talk about, was who was cool with who, or who fucked who in the Bacchanal orgy or whatever. And it's a very weird time to be alive. We're living in the future.
So I'm looking at semi-sweet baskets, and I'm just wondering, as a communication consultant, you've got 41 posts, 318 followers, you got an Etsy store. Let me look at the
300 followers on the semi-sweet baskets. That's pretty good. I rarely use that account.
Oh, you're not currently selling on Etsy.
Yeah, there's nothing on Etsy.
Yeah, dude, I would buy one of your baskets for my mom for her birthday.
I have a basket in mind that I'm going to send you for free. If you just send me, if you would send me $1, that would be nice. If you would send me $1, then I would send you a basket. And if you want it, I don't know what your mom's house is like, but have you seen the window feeder?
Yeah.
So I actually have sent a few of those I sold 2 of them to people on Clown House. And I have a few of them already made that I would be or if you wanted a basket, I could send you a basket. But those window feeders, that's a good gift for your mom.
Dude, this one you made, the natural dyed rattan basket, Cherokee style, instruction by Master Weaver Betty Manny. Dude, you made that one? That one's amazing.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that one, a lot of people like that. Not to downplay
it's
it,
the
but
photograph.
A lot of people it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But it is, of course, made with machine milled material.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that's why it looks so perfect. So I wove it together, but it's kind of like putting it together from a kit. It's like kind of boring. And so all the other stuff that I do, it looks a little more rugged, but I think it's cooler because I'm gathering the materials from the nature myself. That was a great class with Betty Maney, but it was like from a kit. It was a kit basket.
You know, I worked for a company in, oh, never mind. You live in Maine, right?
I live in Maine.
Oh, man. I see, my East Coast geography is pretty bad. Like, I'm thinking you live in Vermont for some reason.
Well, Vermont is very close. I mean, Vermont is, yeah. What? Why? Who, do you know people in Vermont?
I worked.
I go to Vermont.
Yeah, I worked.
Vermont.
Yeah, I worked for a corporation there. Digital advertising. It's called Dealer.com. It was a car dealership advertising and platform for car dealers all around the country.
Cool.
But anyways, I'm just saying, like, you know, it's like baskets are cool, but they don't pay the utility bills unless, like, you can actually, you know, generate. I mean, even if you were to, anyways, the point is, I got a utility bill to pay from the winter that I didn't pay yet. It's like easily going to be like probably close to $2,000. But just to heat your house, it's so complicated and expensive. But I get so much sunlight here that, man, if I could just like, if I could do my whole roof in affordable solar panels and charge and store that energy, I mean, I could live off of electric heat, and you know, significantly.
Why can't you do that? I'm sure you could do that, John.
I have to.
In Maine, I
see. There's things that I can't do because, like, I sit here and read books, and I know that reading books is probably the most valuable time that I can spend. And but I have to find people who can assist.
Well, what I'm saying is, in Maine, I don't know if this is true where you live, but it probably is. I think it's happening around the nation, where they will come to your door-to-door salesman will come to your door, and they will pay to put solar panels on your roof. You don't have to pay.
Oh, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take photos of my roof, and ask and post all around the internet saying I am looking, to sell my roof. And I want to pimp my roof.
I bet if you Google Chicago put solar panels on my roof for free, you will find a company that will say, in the Chicago area, we put solar panels on your roof for free. I bet you will find that.
Let's see.
I mean, it's happening in Maine because I have considered working for these companies, but I never actually did it.
Oh man, you're right.
I know people who have worked for.
You have to be a broke bitch to get those solar panels.
You might have to be broke, but you are broke, aren't you?
Yeah.
Aren't you like bankrupt?
I'm getting solar panels, baby. Chicago
I think you can get solar panels, and then if you have like a surplus in the grid, then you get money. I guess maybe you get money. It's money.
Nice.
Anyway, on the subject of making money, I calculated, I think I'm going to make at least $660 today teaching a basket class this evening, which is not that much money. And it's not every day that I make $660, but the class that I'm teaching tonight is relatively popular, and a lot of people like to sign up for it, and I'm going to make $660.
Doing
So
what?
that's pretty good, right?
Doing what?
Teaching a basketry class.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Teaching a bunch of fat lesbos.
I mean, I don't understand why you can't even like offer your service to the local high school and junior high because.
I do.
I see.
Oh, this is a moldy bowl of.
Well, do you have any videos? Those videos would do great of you, doing a class on basket weaving on YouTube and live streaming yourself doing it on YouTube.
Live streaming the class with students in the room, or doing a class?
Yeah, doing a
for
class
the internet.
for the internet.
Probably both.
Yeah, both. Yeah, more
Both.
spam.
Spam. Just spam, right? Constantly spam. Hit it again. Send it again. Spam. Post it. Record it. Post it. Spam.
Hi, Bima.
So post it, record it, make another one, spam it. Post
Bima,
it again,
hold on, one, Zach.
Cross-post it. Make 15
Bima,
accounts.
somebody said that you're an anarcho-capitalist in the Piper, I think. Piper and Andrew were claiming that you're an anarcho-capitalist. Is that true?
No, I'm an anarcho-primitivist.
An anarcho-primitivist.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zach, I mean, you're so close, I think, to a big breakthrough. But I really just say videos have to be the solution. I don't think there could ever be any other solution because you are... Oh, so this is what Alan Watts said yesterday when I was listening. He said, we are essentially electric resonances or electric history or electric memory of ourself, meaning that creating these videos is essentially, it almost implies that like you've been doing this forever or you're somehow connected to it in the past and the now, because it's true.
Timeless. It's timeless.
But there's something about putting it in the digital where it's like you're uploading it to this external network of communication which didn't exist prior. So A, you're increasing the overall collective intelligence by doing the uploads, but you should get compensated for the videos, because if you put up, let's say, 100 basket weaving videos, and you have in your description a link to your Give, Send, Go, or to your Etsy, or to
Patreon.
like that could generate, 100,000 in sales over the course of a couple of years. Anyways, what is BMO saying? No, I'm a voluntarist. Who is Zach? Bima, how old are you, by the way? Cause,
are you in another room?
Yeah, I'm in Clubhouse Spam, you meditation tree.
No, I'm alone in my room.
Yeah, I know. I got 3 other rooms open. Bima, are you coming up? And Bima, are you still dating a black man? Not like it matters, but I'm just saying, I don't know. It sounds to me like you're a gym girl, because I gotta say, I go to the gym every day, and I see some of the most beautiful women, in the world working out at the gym. And in my opinion, if you're a gym girl, maybe you're a beautiful woman. Anyways, Bima, so you're a voluntarist? What's a voluntarist? You can volunteer if you want. You don't have to volunteer.
No, it's no, more like a mutualist, just based, everything's based on voluntary consent, so it's specifically explicit consent. So the only reason I don't have a sign is like that.
Cornfield today.
Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want, and whoever you contract with, they can pay you whatever you both, agree to, et cetera, et cetera. So the only reason I don't assign the ANCAP title is because I think like the anarcho whatever it doesn't make sense. As long as anarchy comes first, whatever you want to, whatever type of community you want to create after that, it just doesn't matter. So if you're an anarcho-capitalist, anarcho-communist, anarcho-syndicalist, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. So as long as there's explicit consent. And that's why, because there are some anarchists that are like, insane, and they want, like the old Aristotelian, like, original, the original connotations of anarchy, the Latin, word, and it's supposed to be without rulers, but it was, the breakdown of the polis, and so there was negative connotations with it, and then it was sort of like reformatted later philosophers, Kropotkin, Proudhon, Goldman, they just, anyway, so anarchy is without rulers. It doesn't necessarily mean, it doesn't have to have negative, chaotic intentions, but there are people who, for whatever reason, want to do that, but that's not me. Why is everybody quiet? What the hell?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. Can you repeat that?
So you're an anarchist, Zach? Are you Zach or are you my friend?
Yeah, I'm your friend Zach, of course.
Gotcha.
I used to be an anarchist.
And what happened?
I became disillusioned. Now I'm a nihilist.
And as a nihilist, what type of society, like structure, do you advocate for?
I don't care. That's the beauty of nihilism.
So you
Maybe
don't.
I'm a stoic. I'm a stoic in training. I'm in stoicism.
See, I feel like that there's a lot of dishonesty there because I don't think that there's a self-interest. I mean, like, I think it's like one of those things where you can say that you're a nihilist because you already live in a society that is going to protect, generally speaking. They're going to do the work for you. Mommy and daddy government are going to do that for you. I don't think you actually mean that. I mean, I know that's hard to, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you telling me, like, you really want me to believe that you don't have a self-interest to, like, peace and living a peaceful life and just being able to do the things that you want to do peacefully as a peaceful human being?
That sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
But you would also be okay with that not happening to you?
I don't think I'm actually a nihilist. I was just trying to be funny.
Okay.
I don't know what I am anymore. I like the idea of anarcho-primitive. Do you know about anarcho-primitivism?
Yeah, I think it's again, it's just one of those categories. It doesn't matter as long as the anarchy comes first. The anarcho-primitivism, tell me what appeals specifically you like about it.
Well, for a long time, I believed and repeated that industrial civilization was exploitative. And industrial civilization could even be defined by the existence or presence of slavery. That part of what makes a thing industrial civilization is whether or not it has slaves. Or, whether or not it has cities or whether or not it has a marketplace instead of some sort of collective means of food production. So, anarcho-primitivism could also be referred to as primitive communism. And it's basically just, bioregional tribalism. So it's the way that all people lived for millions of years before the advent and inception of industrial civilization, which is only like 12,000 years old, and humanity is like a few million years old. Depending on when you start tracking humanity, stone tools is 3 million years old. Homo sapiens is 300,000 years old. So pre-humans were making stone tools for millions of years before Homo sapiens, which arguably, I think, means that humanity, because those are some of them are homos too, Homo erectus or Homo ergaster or whatever. Australopithecus is kind of like an Australian. So whatever the fuck you want to call it. Does this make sense? Does that make sense? Are you guys still listening? John? I think we lost John, probably.
I think, so, are you like a Ted Kaczynski?
Are you like gay?
Well,
Yeah, Uncle Ted's
you
cabin.
say
Of
stuff
course,
like
Ted
that.
Kaczynski. I've made a
People see
house.
through that like projection. Like, now I'm curious. Like, what's your life like? What's going on? Are you okay?
That's the
Zach,
point of
are
the
you
projection.
okay?
You want to have sex right now?
But if you're gay,
Well, I'll prove it to you. All right, go search on Clubhouse for Uncle Ted's Cabin. It has 158 members. Join the house, please. The description of this group, if you go to Uncle Ted's Cabin on Clubhouse, please go to Uncle Ted's Cabin on Clubhouse. and read to me the description of the house or the group or whatever it's called. It's called Uncle Ted's Cabin. And tell me what it says.
Okay, Uncle Ted's Cabin. Coming up. Just a sec.
It's not going to be funny anymore because it's taking too long.
Yeah, I was gonna play that out. I read it a long time ago, but I was just gonna keep saying, hold on a second, and for the next 5 minutes.
Okay, so Bima, I was gonna ask you a question. I believe that all communication is projection, hypnosis, and spam, and comedy. So there's technically 4 varieties of communication. Do you think that you have spent your time here wisely, and do you view all the communication here, this social audio? Do you think it's just all spam? Because if it's not an audiobook, like 99% of it, I mean, I know it's nice to have these little relationships and connections, and I know this person on a social audio chat app, but it's like, it's a total waste of time from really creating any real value in the world for yourself. So, do you think you spam when you project and communicate?
I guess it depends on who you're talking to, you know what I mean? But I agree with the other stuff, and it would just depend on what your purpose is, why you're here, you know what I mean? But I think, like, what is the purpose of this app, if not for those things? I mean, at least among the multitude of things that it could be for.
That's a good question. What is the purpose of communication if not for constant spam, hypnosis, and projection?
Well, I mean, like, do you think that it's any different if you're in your home and you're watching your local media or your national media stations, or if you're in your town square and you're listening to your neighbors that you don't know? And I mean, like, at what point does it not become just a more, I would say, friendly version of Clubhouse? Clubhouse gives the anonymity, so am I saying that right? How do you say it? Anonymity? Anonymity?
Alimity?
Yeah, there
No,
you go.
anonymity. Anonymity, right. Thank you. It gives you the anonymity, so you don't have to, stand behind what you say.
I'm still keeping your English.
I think a lot of people still really believe the shit that they spew on here, and I don't think that it is much different than what you view out there. Like, these are our neighbors. These are the people that are voting to force their preferences on you. It's this. This is what it is.
Okay, so
I'm making a flyer for my business.
yeah, that's useful spam.
I'm gonna make $600.
That's useful
For making
spam.
a flyer for your business?
No, for teaching a basket class to 15 fat lesbians.
That's amazing. I love basket weaving.
You would fit right in, I'm sure.
I'm not a lesbian, but yeah, probably.
Are you fat though?
Yeah, I'm fat.
Really, you're a fat person?
Yeah, haven't you seen my bio?
No. So Bima, let me ask you a question about what you just said, because it just went in one ear and out the other ear. Do you think what you just told us in regards...
Morbidly obese.
I asked you, do you think you spam? And then you told us something. Do you think you just spammed us with what you told us?
I mean, give me the definition of spam quickly.
Spam is essentially useless rhetoric and just birds chirping in a tree and then flying off and then no idea what anybody just said and then chirping over there, no idea, leaves that spot, goes somewhere else, chirps all over there, goes somewhere else, chirps all over there. And like at the whole time it's like a fish going from left side to the right side of the bowl. There's no, actual memory retention about what was just said because, again, one of the outcomes of hypnosis communication is amnesia, which is you won't remember what I just told you in 5 minutes. So the point is, if that's how communication works, what people here don't understand that they're self-hypnotizing. So someone will repeat their topic or their point 10 times, and then over the course of like a couple of years, they have said that same thing 1,000 times. So just asking you, when do you think you'll realize that, you do that? Is there any self-awareness of what you do here?
It's an interesting thing to say. So are you saying that if I were to say some of the same things that I say on this app, but I were to say it maybe in a written form in another app, that my influence would be different?
Maybe. I mean, you're spamming somewhere else on a different platform, but what I find amazing is that people are the source of spam. There's a lot of automated spam out there, and that's how a lot of people have made a lot of money. But anyways, the point is there is no point about this room other than to essentially, because I'm live streaming this, is to prove that all communication is hypnosis, all communication is spam, all communication is projection, and hopefully all communication that you make is comedy, because that's the best form of communication hypnosis. You just have to look at this from the perspective of music, and so a lot of this deals with sound vibrations and energy. This is like basically, when I pull the rug on you and say this is all like a metaphysical joke, because if you really want to be successful in life, you have to essentially focus in on sound, which is a vibration and energy. So whether that's making incredible music that goes viral, or doing incredibly funny comedy, or doing really funny therapy hypnosis for people, like you have to essentially create recordings, store them digitally, build a library in the same way that Motown made money with music. It's all about it's the recording industry. So it's a recording industrial complex, and Google is a recording industrial complex, business, because everything you've ever said and done is essentially accessible via Google, and Meta, and Apple. I mean, you're leaving a digital footprint with everything you think and say. I would just say that, having read a lot of books, it's incredible that people gave their whole lives to create these books that you can actually, read with comprehension, integrate into your behavior and analysis. But I am a communications consultant. So my whole point is to try to research communication and find out why I am failing to create, content that goes viral and gives me success. Because that's it turns out that is kind of what everybody's doing. Because all of these politicians are nothing but digital content creators now. That's it. All the bills, all the acts, all the content can be generated perfectly with AI in terms of text and creating text documents, etc. So it just becomes a recording industrial complex equation for you personally. And, how are you going to achieve success? I mean, I don't know. It's challenging because it's all spam, but you have to narrow down on that 1% spam. Like my friend here, his videos can maybe create a nice business for him on top of the real world business that he's actually doing. It's an overlay on your communication activity. And it turns out that the communication industry is actually a huge business because all these social media platforms and everything, even the banks and the Federal Reserve, Congress, the whole thing is one giant communication, like knowledge sphere essentially, because it's all interconnected now on the internet. That you realize how little work people actually do and how little few things actually get made in this country. So you can just see that America is essentially the communication spam generator of the planet. And Hollywood is the most obvious example of what spam is. You know, just think of any great movie you've seen, and that movie is that's the 1% of spam. So it's up to you. Do you think in your life, Bima or Zach, you will ever be able to create that 1% of spam like The Godfather that makes you $500,000 or even $1 billion? Quick and demonstrate how people are engaged in spam here. And it's not a life choice. I just think it's an awareness belief because there was probably a time in everyone's life where you were in more control of your communication, but because of the mass communication of these technological devices, you have to essentially become the master of the communication. And so somebody like Master, all this personal development deals with communication, and people's lives are just incoming communication as opposed to outgoing educational communication. So I like the term synergy or killing two birds with one stone. And so if you can educate yourself and in the process just bounce it off like a solar dish or a mirror, you kill two birds with one stone and you create synergy. So this is what Alan Watts did in all of his recordings. He would prepare a lecture and have a lot of reference material to Zen Buddhist masters and Indian Hindu mysticism, all of this mysticism, philosophy, and education stuff. He would regurgitate it for his audience, and he was helping a lot of Christians, hardcore Protestants or evangelicals, deal with their education and perspective about God, and about self. And so it's really like self-actualization comedy or self-actualization hypnosis or self-actualization spam, because once you take it so far, it ultimately becomes comedy and spam, and you've done the therapy work, so therefore it's like you go back to the real world and you do what's happening in the real world. So all this stuff is basically daily meditation, daily therapy. And unfortunately, no one on this app ever gets to that point or conducts any type of therapeutic education for anybody. So it's a nut house. It's a psych ward of people. This is a containment field for their spam. And the worst part is ingesting it and listening to the spam, because it takes you out of your place of peace and center of joy. It essentially dilutes your gravitational force or power in the real world and takes you away from creating more peace in the real world and for yourself personally, because it's all spam. It's negative neurolinguistic programming. I am complete.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the dialogue or the commentary. Alan Watts is a good example. What I've listened to of him, yeah, I do like his delivery, generally speaking.
I was listening to him yesterday, and he was talking about Buckminster Fuller and synergy and essentially the internet of today and how everyone is socially linked digitally. Not so much on this app, but on a large app like X, you can communicate with anybody that has a profile. All you have to do is @them or hashtag them. There's, that type of communication is like paradigm transparent shifting. But anyways, Buckminster Fuller and Watts, they called it like the knowledge verse or the information communication universe. And it creates synergies, but he was describing it as like a latticed spider's web with dewdrops, and in those dewdrops, from all the different perspectives, it creates this incredible me is you, we is you, meaning that there's just this information network, and everybody is like a node on this huge information network. So, like, I mean, X is really good at that. Facebook, YouTube is really good at it too. YouTube is probably the best. But that type of global consciousness on the internet, the problem is there's so much information on the platforms that there's really no connectivity globally. I mean, somebody in northern Scotland is not aware of what someone is doing in South Africa. So I don't really know how it changes anything, but it's all spam. So you just have to push it out there, I suppose.
Yeah, it's interesting and a little surreal to be having this conversation with you right now. I know that might sound however it sounds, but I've actually been working on an idea, with the help of ChatGPT, and what I had deduced, what you just said, the whole we're all individual nodes, and so what are we doing to communicate with each other more effectively? More like how are we really connecting? And my idea is based on the concept of interdependence. So this is again refreshing.
So this,
I appreciate it.
This would be my theory, is that the best way to affect the information network of all of these individual nodes is to improve yourself, which is to educate yourself, because your higher intelligence impacts the overall intelligence of the network. And then it just becomes a question of spam magnification, distribution, communication. So how effectively can I distribute my superior information? And generally superior information should go viral. However, that's not necessarily the case. So you have to become even more intelligent in terms of distribution, and finding creative ways to get the algorithm, to essentially mass distribute you, because it's so incredibly sticky and effective for the user. Because everything you're shown, it wants to show you what flared your dopamine the most and that you watched the most in the past. So there's ways to like spam the algorithm, and by tricking it to essentially make your account go out. Now, the other thing is there's internal selectors at Google, Meta, etc., that actually choose the content, TikTok, etc., and they've confirmed it. Like, there's people in positions that select from preferred profiles. So that's the other thing. It's like, it's not necessarily AI driven. It's still human driven, and that's basically bureaucracy. And you still have to outthink that as well. So these are the challenges of communication on like a global digital footprint and spam.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you with a lot of what you said. It reminded me of why I originally came to the app. I was originally invited by one of the I don't know if he's a co-founder or who or what, but Liberty Bluebird. Have you heard of that room, Edmund?
No, never saw it or heard of it.
So it's a pretty cool room or a house, but basically let me give you an example. They're like interactive rooms, and they're, moderated in that way, but they make it so, for example, some of the past recent titles were how to inspire others easily, or how to choose well and easily, using 10 choices. So the point is that there's different ideas, concepts, and then the moderator will use it as like a workshop. And it was, it's always been, incredible. I wish his rooms would get more attention. And then I sort of, because it was only on a Wednesday, he only had it on a Wednesday, and it's only like for an hour, and I needed more of it, and I wanted more of it because my life circumstance had changed, so I needed the noise. And what you're saying, yeah, it definitely, no, I understand. It is, and it is noise, and that's why I said, like, it really depends on the purpose, because I think a lot of people come here for the noise, to be honest with you, and for connection. I know that I did. I needed something to be loud, to drown out, like I was doing a little bit of escapism for the past couple years. I took a couple hard turns, and I was just in a really rough spot mentally, and it helped me distract away, but I'm finding.
Well, there's a talk therapy dopamine effect from this app. So if you can just go, like, screaming into the phone produces dopamine, and it's so hyper dynamic. It is technically creating new wiggles in everybody's brain. I think doing talk therapy here creates neuroplasticity, but so does reading a book. And when you read a book, it's pre-formatted, it's programmed to essentially create those wiggles in your brain. But people come here to chat with each other, and that doesn't create any true significant wiggles. A book like the one I'm holding, the Tao Te Ching, if you read that thing from front to back and you read it out loud, it will neuroplastize your brain. It may sound ridiculous, but that's what education is. It's because it's transformational. It is it's profound, and you'll never hear anyone on this app just reading. I mean, unless they're reading you the book. This is one book. There's 10 books. There's 100 books. There's 1,000 books, and they can all significantly change your life. And I mean, I think studying communication is probably one of the most useful ways to transform your life. I mean, you can just go on Amazon and eBay, type in communication theory, and what's amazing is I was just thinking of concrete when I was giving you the example of somebody who will never state anything profound or transformational and try to essentially spam you or hypnotize you with transformational content, which, I could start reading you stuff right now and you'd say, yeah, that stuff is amazing. But you're not going to hear that out of concrete. And so that's why I say it's like the destroyer of the soul. The soul is the universe and yourself is in it. So if you want to shatter the vase, you're the rose, you're the flower. If you want to shatter the vase, just go to chillism and listen to people screaming. It's the heartbeat with, the Medusa voice that can turn you to stone and shatter glass. I mean, that's what it is. It destroys your now. And it's toxic. I mean, it's like drinking gasoline. That's what it is. Do you drink gasoline? No. So that's what spam can do. That's why we want to focus on the 1% of spam. And I do that, and in this room I'm not even doing that. I'm essentially, this is what people do in other rooms. They talk about reading books. They say, look at my PTR, and in this book, this is what it says. I know I'm about to read the book to you, but before I read you what's in the book, see what I'm saying? They never get to the source material about what they're talking about. They just spam about the book, which is essentially just marketing and advertising. So these are my thoughts. I'm complete.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. It kind of just lets me know what a sad state mentally, that I'm in, that it's more valuable to me to be among the chaos, be among the brain off, thoughtless, to death discussions than being in a state of life, living in existence, of feeding growth and whatever else to your mind, you have a hope for the future when you do that. And I don't think that I really did for the past couple of years. So it's I realized it was outweighing its usefulness a few months ago. And then there was this weird, what is it called when you experience like a sadness, a melancholy. There was almost like a melancholy of loss, because I know I have to break away from all the people that I made connections with, that I talked to, and it's like, it's sad, but I've been slowly doing it, like taking a week off, taking a couple weeks off, not 30 days, you can't deactivate for 30 days because then you lose the account, but I'm not up to that yet, but Edwin, you will see, or maybe you won't, I don't know, but when I've outlived the usefulness completely, my account will disappear.
You'll never be free of the spam creation because you'll hypnotize yourself with your own spam until you actually just do an audiobook. And I mean, if you ask the average person, have you ever created an audiobook? It's 99.9% no. So why is that? Because people like to read, but record something. It's called the recording industry. That is what's happened. That's what's been happening for 100+ years. Men and women throughout the world, especially in the United States, have been creating spam through recordings. So try it, Bima. Get a good book. Go read the book. Go read The Preacher or Ecclesiastes from the Bible, Vanity of Vanities. When you read that out loud, you will become more intelligent. You will realize that all these rooms and all these speakers, it's all just vain, egotistical people wasting their time spamming each other and hypnotizing each other with very low IQ content. It's toxic. So that's what I'm saying. If you really want to improve yourself and improve the world, pick up a book. Go to the gym. That's it. That's pretty much all you can do is improve your body, improve your brain, and stop with the spam. Everybody is addicted to spam. They're self-generating spam. And, choose the spam wisely. You're a cup. You're that holy grail. What you put in your cup is what you say. I mean, what you're listening to and what you say. I mean, you are a cup. Pumpkin here is a spam speaker. And she doesn't like she doesn't like it when I'm in rooms and she goes, "Kick him from the room. I don't like being recorded." Because I'm in the recording industry. Bima. Record an audiobook. I'm not going to pay you to do it, but I'll listen to you read a book and I'll record you reading a book and then you'll say, "Yeah, actually I feel great now. And I learned a lot and I feel amazing because this information was transformational." Pumpkin here is an annoying spam creator. She doesn't ever say anything intelligent. She just spams everybody with her stories and her projection. "Oh, I've got to go collect the rent. I've got to go collect my salary from the government for sitting at home with my children talking on Clownhouse all day long. Welcome to the room, Pumpkin. This is called Clubhouse Spam."
Lovely to hear your lovely voice once again.
Thank you for coming. I was wondering if you could perhaps, if I could ask you a question, could you maybe teach us about meditation?
Yes, I could.
Please proceed with your education on meditation.
Hold on, can I ask Pumpkin a question? Hi, Pumpkin.
So basically what you do
Pumpkin, can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
You tie a bit of wire around the end of your PP, and then you tie the other end wire to a doorknob, and then you get your friend to slam the door shut. When that happens, you will no longer think about anything apart from the excruciating pain that you are currently suffering, and you will have clearness of thought. Right, well, I haven't got time to just give you free advice. If you want to pay me, then I'll stay, but seeing as though you're not paying me, I'm going to go and speak to someone else.
Oh.
she started talking. It was such a great
That was hilarious.
impression. I was not expecting it to be such a close pitch.
Mm-hmm. I was I was trying to ask if she would do her best impression of an American, but I wasn't able to.
Oh, too bad. So sad. I'm not sure you missed out on much. Edwin, do you wanna what is on your list?
Yeah. No loss.
What is your book list? You said you had a book list. You should do like a link tree and put your book list and keep it somewhere so we can reference it. What's your book list? Top 10.
Maybe he's going to the bathroom.
What was that?
What's your top 10? Your book list, you had mentioned it.
I would put the Tao Te Ching up there. But the thing is, I mean, there's just so many books. Because any book that deals with meditation is technically what you're looking for, because the whole point about wisdom is to induce a deep state of relaxation in yourself, which is the state of peace and fearlessness, which is like infinite here. You know, it gives you essentially great joy in knowing that you've probably always existed and you probably always will exist. And time is just a concept. There's just this eternal now that you've always been in. So any fear you have is essentially irascible. The fear of money, the fear of death, the fear of life. So again, this is all like therapeutic intelligence to create profound peace and joy within you, no matter what your situation. And just know there's not a speck of dust out of place in the universe. If you can make this amazing leap of faith or discovery, it can be a very useful tool in terms of your destiny and achieving, power and wealth and security and strength and health. So that's the theory, and I'm sticking to it.
So don't spam us, comedy. You gave us a wonderful speech. Give us something to go home with. What are the 10 titles?
Well, you could read Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. That would be a wonderful book to read all the time, and read that one, front to back, and make that into an audiobook. That's a very good book, very intelligent. Again, this is all just philosophy and education about ethics, morals, virtues, governance, society, personal development, self-actualization. But again, it's all just meditation. But I'll read you a poem called Aha, and it deals with meditation. And so the thing about meditation is, again, I mean, it's basically just relaxation. And it's using words to go within to the divine place of peace and bliss, which is you. You're the source and the center of it. It's not the other way around. It's not politics. It's not finance. It's not even comedy. It's, you could call it comedy meditation. That's like one way to call it. But again, it's just spam, but it's high quality spam. You don't want, when you go to a restaurant, don't you want, and you pay, $50 for dinner, don't you want it to be a fantastic dinner, right? I mean, it's basically a question of how you're going to cook it. It's not, and the choice of meat, and the choice of vegetables, and the choice of dessert, I like delicious things. That's just me. I like the good life, and I hope you do too. Okay, this is going to be the poem I'm going to read, then we can discuss it, and then we're going to end this recording. Here we go. So take the deepest breath of the day through your nose, hold it for 10 seconds. Let it go. There are 7 keys to the great gate, being 8 and 1 and 1 and 8. First, let the body of thee be still, bound by the cerements of will, corpse rigid, thus thou mayst abort the fidget babes that tease the thought. Next, let the breath rhythm be low, easy, regular, and slow, so that thy being be in tune with the great sea's Pacific swoon. Third, let thy life be pure and calm, swayed softly as a windless palm. Fourth, let the will to live be bound to the one love of the profound. Fifth, let the thought, divinely free from sense, observe its entity. Watch every thought that springs. Enhance hour after hour thy vigilance. Intense and keen, turned inward, miss no atom of analysis. Sixth, on one thought securely pinned, still every whisper of the wind. So like a flame straight and unstirred, burn up thy being in one word. Next, still that ecstasy, prolong thy meditation, steep and strong, slaying even God, should he distract thy attention from the chosen act. Last, all these things in one o'erpowered, time that the midnight blossom flowered, the oneness is. Yet even in this, my son, thou shalt not do amiss, if thou restrain the expression. Shoot thy glance to rapture's darkling root, discarding name, form, sight, and stress, even of this high consciousness. Pierce to the heart, I leave thee here. Thou art the master, I revere thy radiance that rolls afar. O brother of the silver star. That poem is called Aha! So that is essentially it's a meditation instruction on breathing and relaxation, and I hope you enjoyed it. So that would be a good example of spam, like a 1% spam. It's useful because now you know the secret of meditation. And there's a lot in that little poem, but that's like a compression. That's how I would describe meditation. If I had to teach a course on meditation, you could just teach it through a poem and breathing. Congratulations, you now know the secret.
Who was the poem by?
Was that Alan Watts?
No, it's Aleister Crowley.
Oh, wow. Got an Alan Watts feel to it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll quickly give you one more quick compression. This is called A Treasury of Polish Aphorisms. So if you just go on eBay or Amazon and you just type in Book of Aphorisms, if you read aphorisms out loud, this will also increase the intelligence of yourself and the network. Oh, to know God's private address. Burning stakes do not lighten the darkness. Legends are often destroyed by those in need of its stuff. Proverbs contradict each other. That is the wisdom of a people. instead of playing, they always shuffle cards. A philosopher, someone who can be silent in different languages. Tell me what books you have at home, I'll tell you who you are. The rich are bored more expensively. Poets and canaries stop singing when paired. Faith moves mountains, but where? When they praise you behind your back, don't turn around. All is in God's hands. Only history managed to slip out from his control. God is not a gambler, but he does have a weakness for them. Not knowing when you die makes life possible. You don't feel your old age. Others do. Only victorious countries have truly famous soldiers. Sleep, preview of death. The laws are like spider webs. The sparrow flies through them. The fly gets the penalty. Freedom, unlike love, does not win when naked. A word in a book is just a word. A word in the mouth is a deed. Words of truth will pierce a rock. Every happiness is a threshold to unhappiness. There are no children, just people. Feminine beauty attracts us more than all the wisdom of the world. Music is the ability to be sad or happy without a reason. Say nothing rather than talk about nothing. Dates are the raisins of history. We rule the world, and they're being ruled by women. Unhappiness, like love, binds people together. Can you tell the truth? Learn also to listen to it. Only marriage permits us to form an accurate image of a woman. Unmarried women all resemble each other. Who belittles sin diminishes virtue. There are more bloodsuckers than blood donors. Quite a few married couples prove that misfortunes come in pairs. A whisper goes farther than a shout. A smile is half a kiss. That's a good one. A beautiful woman is like a duck. Too much for one, not enough for two. A lottery has at least one virtue. You cannot lose if you don't play. A lie has short legs, but it runs faster than the truth. He who calls the noisy ones to order shouts the loudest. Intelligence, when detected early, is curable. Words convey wishes, while deeds have power. It is more difficult to live one day well than to write a book. Irony, cousin of impotency. A post-communist slogan. Let people of all planets unite. Snow, powdered water. A dog, a domesticated animal, least smart about humans. Envy will sacrifice the most. We readily forego our own benefits to assure a neighbor's loss. A satirist is the fool who sees a mousetrap to catch an elephant. The road to success is full of women pushing their husbands. A man can love all over the world, but should marry somewhere close to home. I had so much joy in my creations, that there cannot be a question of merit. Pity, a feeling equally disagreeable for the giver and the recipient. Wine makes people transparent. The art of writing is the art of erasing. Those fare best who are loved by people. Life does not grant us what we wish, but what it has for us. Nothing soothes the psychic wound better than the smell of a train smoke. Some people are like the blind man who stole and ate his own chicken. Only serious people can truly laugh. We are good to others to like ourselves more. Laughter and jokes, often a wise man's cry. Old age and youth have the same appetites, but not the same teeth. Hell is paved with male indiscretions. Words are often the gossips of our thoughts. Curiosity, the first step to betrayal. Every man thinks himself a great actor who deserves a wider audience. One woman is not enough. Friendship after love is like smoke after a fire. The more superb a writer, the less literary is his writing. Like society, like literature, only that which comes with great effort is easy to read. Friendship with a woman always ends in love. One goes to the theater mainly for the intermissions. Your church is where you feel God's inspiration, not where you see the cross, walls, and stones. On your face I sadly note the last stage of all misfortunes, boredom. Tango, a sad thought to which one can dance. One needs to learn death as we learn life. Love makes discoveries. Dissipation makes inventions. Never a silly word, one can never comprehend it. You will learn more wisdom from one wife than from 1,000 mistresses. A thief could easily come to terms with a policeman if it was not for the victim. Faith moves mountains on the backs of the faithful. Once I faked virtue, now I fake desire. An ounce of gain, a pound of envy. A friend in need is a friend indeed, but it's better to feed illusions at a good dinner. The woman I dreamt of never refused me. God makes so many beautiful women, but they always scold a womanizer. Experience, God's gift, when you no longer need it. Who has loved 100 times does not know love. Big quarrels should be settled with little losses. More courageous is he who fears not the whip but fame. When 1,000 sheep realize that they have 2,000 horns, watch out, shepherd and sheepdog. An empty head nods more easily. Do not desire your neighbor's wife in vain. Tragedy, to fall in love with a face and marry the whole woman. Throw a lucky man into water and he'll surface with a fish in his mouth. Life, a lifelong death sentence. A pessimist says all women are loose. An optimist does not, but he has hopes. Fidelity, a strong itch with a prohibition to scratch. Even the most beautiful legs end somewhere. The difference between camels and men. A camel can work a week and not drink. A man can drink a week and not work. A horse has 4 legs, one at each corner. A new sickness, megalomania. Conscience, that quiet voice which whispers that someone is watching. Egoist is someone who cares more for himself than me. A virtuous girl never chases after boys. Whoever saw a mousetrap chasing mice? Success, something your friends will never forgive you. Raisin, a worried grape. A flea, an insect which has gone to the dogs. Corpus delecti, a delicious body. In partibus infidelium, she is unfaithful, but only partly. Wit is a very important part of a woman's outfit. You can never be too picky when choosing parents. Nothing moves a man as much as the tears of the woman he begins to love, and nothing irritates him as much as the tears of the woman he loves no longer. Love is a dainty golden little box, in which you will find a carefully prepared and concealed little bill. The most important things in life happen only once. Okay, that's a list of Polish proverbs. I hope you enjoyed that. To complete this tour of Polish wit and wisdom, here are some proverbs which are either original, a rare occurrence in the world of proverbs, or express a universal idea in unusual fashion worth remembering. Thus, a universal proverb, man proposes, God disposes, in Polish corresponds to Chłop strzela, Pan Bog kule nosi, or literally man shoots and God carries the bullets. The proverbs had been translated by Helen Stanwich Zand, Polish Proverbs, 1961, reproduced here with kind permission, the Polish American Journal. What the shell absorbs in youth, of that it will smell in old age. The way is never long to one's beloved. Love without money, gateway to misery. A good wife is the husband's crown. Where the tail rules, the head blunders. Where the devil can't manage, he'll send a woman. Mother's voice is God's voice. She is not the mother who bears, but the one who rears. A guest in the house is God in the house. What one thinks when sober, one says when drunk. The tavern will not spoil a good man, nor the church mend a bad one. As Jacob to God, so God to Jacob. Who digs pits under others falls into them himself. The man has not yet been born, who can please everyone. Do not shoot with powder when you can shoot peas. God guards the guarded. The drowning man clutches at a razor. Better an ounce of luck than a pound of gold. The violin does not play for everyone. Money is a good servant but a poor guide. The threshold's too high for my feet. Dog barks, carriage rides on. Go into debt but make a good showing. Who wants to hit a dog will find a stick. The master's eye fattens the horse. shake a hoe at the sun. To a wise head, 2 words are sufficient. The word flies out a sparrow, but comes back an ox. Okay, that's a treasury of Polish aphorisms by Jacek Galachka. You see, that's what's called a book. A compression book. An intelligence hypnosis book. A spam. Thank you, ma'am. I hope you've enjoyed my meditation. Oh, it's time for me to retreat and retire. I hope it's been useful. It's been fun. Any comments, questions, thoughts, ideas, or opinions about the new you?
Thank you for the opportunity to reflect and ponder.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, there's a lot of things that I just read that, makes me ashamed, but it's all about updating yourself. And people don't do that, Part of education and therapy is to make yourself a better person by reflecting on past mistakes. If there's such a thing as original sin, it's just your karma. It's what you did. It's what you chose. You were just unaware of the fact that you were making a bad decision. And hopefully through these books, you will have good thoughts, good actions, and good outcomes. But again, just try to focus in on that 1% of spam. Stop with all the 99% of spam. So that's called Wisdom Proverbs Philosophy Education. You could call this a communication experience. Or a communication seminar. Therapy, healing, the mass information, and mass communication, spamiverse. Or information overload. Or what we would call psychology. Well, we could also just call it meditation. That's the easiest way to frame it all. Not many people know that reading a book out loud, or even silently, is a form of meditation. Everybody is so rigid in their definitions, but I don't know. When I read a book, I'm like, you know what? I'm actually meditating right now, bro. And it feels pretty good. Yeah, that's right. I feel good. I feel relaxed, like I hypnotized myself on some high-quality spam. That's my definition, and I'm sticking to it. That's right. We are spam educationalists and hypnosis projection for relaxation purposes, otherwise known as